Hi, well here we are in Excel and I want to show you how to do the frequency distribution and the pie charts that we did in class. So we have to first have our data, and if you go to wherever it was that you saved the data, like I saved mine here under Crete, and then data from the book, I renamed it instead of that weird number that came up. And we're in chapter 2 and we want the information on soft drinks. So if you just go down and click on that and open it. And I've already opened mine so that would load real quick. So let me switch over here to it. So here's all my data, okay? So what I want to do is I want to look at my data, and I can see, like we saw in class, that I have all this information on the different types of soft drinks that people purchased. We know we have Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, and Pepsi. I'm going to copy those, put those over here somewhere. We also have, oh, there's Dr. Pepper, of course. We like Dr. Pepper. What other classes of information? We have Sprite. So put Sprite there. And I think that's all the different soft drinks we have. I think we only have those 5. So if we look down the list, we don't see any other choices. So what we're trying to do at this point is we're trying to come up with, as I told you before, these things that are called bins or classes of information. This is what we're going to do to formulate our frequency diagram. Remember, a frequency diagram just shows us how frequently some option turned up. So we want to see how frequently does each one of these options come up. How many people chose Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Pepsi, that sort of thing. Now, if I go over here on my Insert tab, I get a lot of different choices about charts and graphs and things. The easiest way to do this is to click on the recommended chart, and it's going to tell me I should have selected my data, so I'm going to select my data. Here's all my data. Okay. And I'm going to click on my recommended chart, and it's going to give me a particular type of example that they want to give me, but I click over here to all charts. It'll give me lots of different types of charts, but I'm going to stick with this recommended one because this is a bar chart, this is a frequency chart, this is what I want, so I'm just going to hit OK. Notice what it did. It actually, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it actually gave me another tab down here from the data tab. So if I click back, I can go to the data tab, or I can click back over here to this tab that it gave me. And here is my picture. And it did a couple of things for me. It created this chart, which gives me each one of my different soft drinks and the count. And it also gave me this particular diagram of it. I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to add the total column here. And I'm going to go over here on the Formulas tab. So up here across the top of Excel, you have a number of tabs. I'm going to click on the Formula tab, and I'm going to do an auto sum to just sum up these particular different counts. And that tells me there was 50 in all. So I can look at the bar chart, and it tells me most people like Coca-Cola, a lot of people like Pepsi. Notice every time I touch the chart that this pivot table over here gives me some options on filtering and rebranding and things like that. But I'm going to keep it pretty much the way it is right now. Now, oops, I just moved my title. I'm going to pick it up, put it back where it was. You can see you can move it around. You can click in there and retitle it. You can do lots of different things with the graph. I'm going to pick up the chart and move it down. Every time you see that looks like a little cross, it lets you move things around here. See that little cross? Lets me move it. Okay, over here, I'm going to widen these cells. So if you go up here to where you see the cross, it'll let you widen any column. So I'm going to widen the column, and I'm going to put in here, I think I'm going to put relative for relative frequency. And I'm going to put a formula. This is the formula bar up here, and if I click in there, if I want to set a formula, I set equals, and I'm going to click on the 19 divided by the total of 50. And I enter it, okay? And that tells me that 0.38 is the proportion or the relative frequency for Coca-Cola. I can do the same for the Diet Coke. Okay. And I get a 16. Now, if I try to drag and drop, because sometimes you can drag and drop these, I don't think it will work. And you can see it won't work because I haven't isolated a cell. So you don't want to do that drag and drop at that point unless you've isolated one of those cells. I want to do 5 divided by the 50. And I think if I do the 50, let's see if I can do it or not. Get 10%. Let's see if I can isolate that or not. Nope, won't let me do it. Okay, I'm going to do another one. Equals 13 divided by 50. And then this one, 5 divided by 50. And if you want to do the last one, you'll get 100% there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these percentages, and as we talked about in class, the way you go from a relative frequency to a percentage is you just multiply the previous cells by 100. So I'm going to equals, click on that cell, and then the star is what you do. So you can see up here in my formula bar, see the star and 100, and hit enter. And if you just drag it down, this one you can drag down. Okay? Now notice this chart down here kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize it. All these little dots let you make it different sizes. So I'm going to grab that and make it smaller again. Okay? Because I'm going to add some other charts in here. Now I'm going to highlight these percentages. I think I like the percentages. So I'm going to highlight that data. I'm going to go back over to Insert, and I'm going to click on the pie charts. And I'm going to click on that little down arrow. It gives me lots of choices in pie charts. I'm going to choose the first one, which says just a regular pie chart. You can see that it gives me a pie chart. I'm going to move it down so you can see. But it doesn't give me a lot of information on it. So this little plus sign over here is the chart elements that I can add, change, or remove. So I click on that, and I'm going to add data labels. And I'm going to go over here and get more options. And it'll bring up this dialog box over here. And I'm going to choose for my labels. Labels contains values from cells. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to ask me which cells. And so I'm going to go over here and click on Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, and say OK. That's going to put the labels in there. And then I don't just want these to be values, I want them to be percentages. So it's going to do that for me. And then if I want to, I could go on down and I could say I want this to be the best fit. I want it to be outside. Look what happens, they pop out. But I could say I want best fit. Different things I want to do. I think the outside looks pretty cool. I'm clicking out, put them in the outside. I think that's all I'm going to do. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I might go over here and say, put a solid line around it. I can click each one of these inside here and put solid lines around them. Okay, so I have solid lines. I can do lots of different things to make it look different. But there's a regular pie chart. If I wanted to do a different type of pie chart, I'd highlight, always highlight your information first. Again, go to Insert and go back to pie charts and say I'm going to do, say, a 3D pie chart. Here's the 3D, and again it needs some labels. So what I'm going to do is add the data labels, go over here and get more options, and click on the chart, click on label options, and again I'm going to get values from the table. Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, that kind of thing. Okay. I want percentages again, not just values, so take that out. I think I like them. They look, maybe I'll put them outside again. Kind of like that. Then I'm going to go back over here to see the little octagon. That's the effects. And yeah, maybe I'll do borders. I'll do a solid line. And there's my next chart. I can get rid of this guy. And you can move these around, pick them up and move them around so that you can order them differently. There's lots of different types of charts. I want you to play around with this. You can change colors. You can insert lots of different types of lines. Later on we'll do some things using some lines and projections and forecasts and those kind of things. So we'll use this quite a bit. But you want to just practice doing those different charts. Hope you enjoy it, play with this a little bit, and I will see you on Wednesday.